We started off our Colorado adventure with a trip to Grandma and Grandpa's house, where of course Grandpa had to show us all of his cars. Next, we traveled out to Lubbock to pick up Patrick and Nick. Nick had clearly won their ongoing contest of whose beard was longer. After a quick lunch, we headed up on our road trip to Colorado Springs, where we started off the next morning with a trip to Garden of the Gods. We ran into some dinosaurs while we were there, but we weren't too scared. Then Nick and I stopped to tame some buffalo on the Great Plains. We even saw a deer on the side of the road. Soon after, I headed out with a climbing guide to climb all the way to the top of one of the tall spires in the garden. At first, I belayed him while he climbed up to set up some anchors, and then I made my way up. It took us about an hour to get all the way to the top of the spire. Later that night, we decided to check out the great city of Colorado Springs and do the #1 tourist activity, Pokemon hunting. Here we see Mom and Nick walking down the streets looking for Pokemon. Squirtle! Here they are standing on a street corner, comparing which Pokemon they've caught. We eventually made our way to the scenic and historic back parking lot of a Chinese restaurant where they found some more Pokemon. After all the Pokemon in the city had been caught, I convinced them to ditch their phones and head up to Cave of the Winds. We enjoyed the gorgeous mountain scenery and flowers, but ultimately didn't participate in any of their activities like the Batapult or the Pterodactyl. Later that morning, we boarded the train to take us to the top of Pikes Peak. The train to the top is one of the few remaining cog railways in North America. It takes a little over an hour to reach the 14,110-foot summit. You couldn't see that much from the top of the mountain through all the snow and clouds, even though it was the middle of August. It was really cold, and I did not bring nearly enough jackets. Here's the original summit house, which was constructed in 1873. Note, this is not where you get the donuts. Here's the trail that you can hike up if you want to take 7 hours to get to the top instead of the 1-hour train ride it would take. That afternoon, we headed up to Estes Park and woke up the next morning to explore Rocky Mountain National Park, established in 1915. Here's a beautiful stock photo of the mountains not taken from my iPhone. Here's a photo of the mountains taken from my iPhone. Here's a lily pond that we passed on the way up to the bouldering. And here's a girl bouldering on the mountains who might be me if you don't look hard enough. After exploring Rocky Mountain for 2 days, we drove down to Breckenridge to meet up with Rodney. Rodney and I enjoyed a lot of cool art and scenery in the town, while Mom and Nick found more Pokemon and got trapped in a rock. We took the gondola up to the top of the ski mountain. A 14-mile Spartan race was going on the mountain, and on the chairlift, we got to see people running and performing obstacles. We were all thankful that we hadn't signed up for it, except of course for Rodney, who snuck off several times during our hike to carry heavy rocks up the mountain and do burpees. Here we are, finally at the top of the ski lift, ready to start our hike around the top of the mountain. Here I am, having triumphantly reached the halfway point of the hike. And here's Rodney stealing my pose. Along the hike, I stopped to take some interviews and check in with my family.
The hikers are coming up the trail. Rodney's first. Nick and Mom struggling behind, wondering where the Pokemon are. Rodney, could you have done this with a 50-pound weight on your back?
No. I had to contemplate, but no, there's absolutely no way. I couldn't have even climbed this little 10 yards, let alone that half mile those people are doing.
Woohoo, we made it! Top.
We made it 20 feet into the trail. Congratulations, guys.
You carried this a while. Or you could take where you like looked for.
Take my picture.
We found an ancient artifact on the trail. Rodney, please describe what you found.
It has an 8 on the back of it.
The Indians cooked on this. They heated it up on this surface, and then on this side here is where they had their sushi and their linguine and their, you know, that's what Lonnie told me.
Fried chicken.
Lonnie explained all it to me.
How did they get that 8 on there?
See, this stone right here is what they cooked on. They put their firewood right here, and then just kind of held it on there.
Yeah.
They cooked their sushi.
That's right.
That was the number 8. You know, cooking platform. They had different sizes.
Different sizes, yeah.
And
yeah.
quality, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
was a number 8. That was pretty good at 8.
Well, yeah, it's very straightforward.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
All right.
Rodney got lost in the mountains. We can't make it to him, so we'll probably have to leave him. All right, Nick, how's the hike going?
High.
It's high.
It's going high.
Oh, it's going high. All right, so Mom was telling us about the formation of Breckenridge Township.
Yes.
Well, about 200 million years ago, this was all ice, and these mountains rose from the floor of the ocean.
All of this?
Yeah, all of it.
Everything we can see.
Everything you can see rose up from the floor of the ocean, and then there was ice, and it came, and there was a glacier that came right through the middle and just pushed all this stuff out. And
Oh, really?
yes,
Really?
yes, that's how that works.
Where did the Pokemon come from?
Well, if you must know, there's some Pokemon that are related to the Ice Age and the Jurassic period.
Cut.
When we got to the bottom of the mountain, we saw the Alpine slide and just knew we had to ride it. Here's Mom and Nick getting ready for the slide. Here's me and Rodney. Rodney tried to race me to the bottom of the slide, but the park attendant firmly told him that racing was forbidden. So he rode off down the hill in shame. For our last afternoon, we sipped some coffee on saddle chairs. Our Colorado vacation was full of adventures and Pokemon.